Paris, France. One of the coolest places to go, one of the most beautiful architectural areas you could ever visit, whether it's museums or big, tall Eiffel Towers. But we're not going to do any of that.
So I'm standing here outside of Les Catecombs de Paris. I'm just here for a day, not even 9 hours with a layover. I was able to shoot over from the airport, pop in, do it for an hour and a half, including some of the shooting I did, and then pop out. When I walked up, there was a big line. People waiting to get in. Now, fortunately, I bought a ticket 2 nights ago. I picked my time and I walked right in, and it was real easy. So I'd say if you do come out here, be sure to pick up a ticket, don't just show up. It is Friday, so it's not even the weekend yet, and I got in pretty easy. I'm so far down that I'm below the drinking water, the rail networks. We're 20 meters below the surface, and I just got down this winding staircase, which you can kind of see over my shoulder here. 131 stairs down. It actually got a little dizzy coming down, but we're getting ready to head into the actual catacombs, so see what's there. So I'm here inside these long winding tunnels that, for all intents and purposes, as far as what I understand, they were built originally because there was a lot of rocks being dug out to mine minerals for all kinds of buildings and everything else from right underneath Paris. And what wound up happening was you had a whole bunch of building collapses, and there's just winding tunnels all over the place. The parts that I get to see are just very small pieces of them. But if you look over my shoulder here, you can see that I've walked probably, I don't know, a quarter of a mile so far, and it just keeps going. The little tour guide that I have said, walk for 5 minutes. It's kind of creepy, and you can see, I'm gonna angle up a little bit, you can see it's not very tall. I can touch the ceiling, and if I put my back up against the wall, I can actually touch the other side. So if you're claustrophobic, this is not a good place for you.
In this part of the tunnel, you begin seeing signs etched into the walls. Some indicate names of streets that were directly above the tunnels, many of which are no longer there. Others were created by the Quarry Inspection Department to show the progress of the reinforcement and development work. And then some refer to the aqueduct work, which was updated after a quarry collapse in 1781.
You can see how I can't even see the end of the tunnel right now. It just keeps on going all the way down. So I'm gonna walk for a while, and we'll see where it takes me. I have yet to see any of the bones or anything, but I know I'm on my way there to the catacombs. So I'm standing in an example of their quarry workshop. And this is an example of where they'd go and they'd break down all of the rocks. You can see them kind of stacked up right over my shoulder. And what they do is they'd hoist them up to the surface. And basically they hollowed out a lot of what's underneath Paris. Now it's blocked up with new rocks like this, and they've backfilled it with dirt and debris and everything else, including what I believe to be bones as I get further in, but basically to make sure that the buildings didn't fall down and stopped collapsing in Paris. Pretty crazy stuff. So it's wet down here too. I just had a big drop of water fall on my head, and if you can listen in the background, you can hear it sort of dripping coming from the top. There's little water nodules here, and I'm not sure exactly what that's from. I guess just moisture above, but ugh. So here I am in the catacombs, surrounded by human remains. You can see them behind me. I'm literally surrounded. You see skulls, you see all kinds of bones just stacked up. I'm not a historian, but I listened and read as I walked through here, and there's millions and millions of men, women, and children that were buried here, mostly taken and removed from the outlying city. The bones that surround me were predominantly put here from people that died between the 11th and 18th century. So it's incredibly important to be sensitive and respectful around what is probably the strangest place I've ever been to.
As I ventured further into the darkness, I realized that every corridor was, in a way, ornamental. In fact, in 1809, the bones were rearranged by stacking them into a wall, using mostly the tibia or the leg bone, and then alternating skulls to add some decor. The stone monuments were also installed along the circuit. Many represent different cemeteries from which the bones were relocated. Others feature religious or even poetic text. At the heart of the ossuary, we find monuments referring to events during the French Revolution. This one presents a battle between Swiss guards and Parisian units in 1792. During this battle, the ossuary was temporarily used as a morgue where they brought bodies of those killed in combat.
So, I'm an average-sized guy, but this is how much room is between the roof and my head at this point. It's really starting to close in. I might hit my head if I walk any further. Yeah, there it goes.
In this part of the catacombs, I found a well that is known as the Fountain of the Samaritan Woman. The quarry workers used the well water to make mortar. Interestingly, goldfish were put into the well to see how they would fare so far underground. While the fish survived, they were unable to reproduce and became blind.
On April 2nd, 1897, they had a clandestine concert down here. 100 people were invited, prestigious, and they played orchestra music. I caught it as interesting because it's a weird place to do a concert, but also April 2nd happens to be my birthday.
This feature is known as the Barrel, which is in the Crypt of the Passion, the same place where the party itself was held. And it's the last thing you see before you begin your ascent to the surface.
I just finished it up. I have some thoughts. First of all, it was kind of an incredible experience. If you have a morbid curiosity about this sort of thing, I would say go. It's a really cool thing, very unique to do in Paris. Second of all, be ready for cramped spaces. It is very, very cramped. If you have claustrophobia, it's not for you. And I guess third, just be respectful when you're in there. They'll ask you to keep it down, don't take flash photography, and I would do that. You know, this stuff is sacred, it's old, and you want to let it preserve for as long as possible. All right, see you on the next one.